What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today we've got a lot to talk about. I'll be going over some interesting things that I found inside the PC beta that are new, some recent news that came out, some leaks as well. So as usual, a variety of cool Destiny 2 related topics. So firstly, let's take a look at that PC beta. Now, Bungie have actually snuck in some cool little things that weren't there before in the console beta, and seems to be a bit of an indication of what we can expect in the final build of Destiny 2. So I was looking through the inventory screens for Destiny 2, and on the bottom one, you can actually see a brand new item there called AURAS. Now, these are visual effects awarded on completion of challenging activities, so meaning basically endgame stuff. And these appear to be a new kind of visual customization. Obviously, this is replacing the slot where shaders used to be down here. But of course, shaders are now an individual piece of weapons and armor. So you don't have one shader for all anymore. They're now individual, and they're also consumables. But auras seem to be replacing shader as a whole. So these are going to be visual effects. Now, I cannot wait to see what these things look like, because they're probably going to be very, very cool, knowing Bungie. I would not be surprised if one of them is a flaming head, like the Nightfall buff, because that was like a fan favorite thing in Destiny 1. So I would not be surprised if somehow there's some way to get that. And the way it says completion of challenging activities, I'm pretty sure that means endgame. So trials, nightfalls, raids, maybe even challenge modes of raids as well. But these are going to be very, very difficult to obtain and probably quite collector's items. Now, auras aren't the only thing that's new down here. There's also something new with these ships. So as you can see down here, it says default effects. Use default transmat effects while arriving in a location or reviving. Now, we've actually seen these before in the press gameplay that came out. You can see a bunch of them on screen right now. This is a Jade Rabbit one. It kind of appears the logo and then smashes it. You've also got this one, which appears to be related to the Hive. It's very dark and evil, kind of green energy. We did have a spawn animation system in Destiny 1. It wasn't very fleshed out. There wasn't much choice, but we kind of had a somewhat version of it. Of course, with the exotic class items you get from factions. And also there were consumables that came with events that gave you spawn animations too. So this appears to be a much more fleshed out version, and definitely very cool to see. So those are two customization options we can see in the final build of the game that was snuck into the PC beta. Now, something else I found while randomly running around in Nessus, I was not playing the objective and not doing the strike. I was basically messing around with this Storm Minotaur trying to kill him. Then when I did, I noticed he actually drops a loot box now. So a high value target drops his plunder. This is the same thing that's in the press gameplay. So when you kill a high value target in Patrol, it actually drops this chest for you. So obviously no loot came out of it because it's a beta build. And I don't even have an inventory, so I don't know where the loot would go. But I'm pretty sure this is supposed to give you some glimmer and also a token for the planet. So this should be a Nessus token, but it didn't drop obviously because it's just a beta. But in the final game, this is going to give you a little bit of loot. I don't think it's massive or substantial, maybe an engram out of it, but this is something that should be dropping in the final game, and obviously wasn't the console beta, but pretty cool when I saw the chest. I was really hoping something would drop out of it, but unfortunately not. But there you go, another thing that will be in the final game, high value targets dropping loot boxes. So next up, on the topic of loot, I wanted to discuss the loot system, some of the changes to engrams, exotics, and also the kiosk and where we're going to be storing the stuff inside our vaults. So something Mark Noseworthy tweeted just today was that we don't anymore have to be the highest level when decoding our engrams, which is really cool. It makes sense, and it's kind of a quality of life update. Of course, before you always had to be the highest level possible when decoding the engrams. I mean, looking back, it didn't really make too much sense because you can just scan our gear to make sure what your highest light level could be and then just give us that loot. And that's exactly what Destiny 2 is going to do. It's basically going to go through all of your gear and calculate what is the highest level you can be at any given time. And then it's going to give you loot according to that level. So definitely makes so much sense. It's going to save you a lot of time. And thinking back on it, the amount of times I accidentally opened a package or an engram while not being the highest light level was definitely a lot. So this is going to save you quite a bit of light levels and should be a very good quality of life update. So talking about engrams next, we have of course the new type, which is called a bright engrams. These are white ones. You earn these when you level up at the bottom of the screen there, and these give you customization items from Tess Everest. I assume you can also buy these with silver because they are from her, but you can get things like shaders, sparrows, and I'm guessing those transmat animations too. Those would make sense to be from these, but essentially bright engrams are all about customization items. So next up, let's talk about engrams and exotic ones too. There appears to be quite a big change to how they're going to work in Destiny 2. No longer are you just going to collect a bunch of them and they all pile up and you decode them like normally. It seems that exotic and legendaries have their own slot inside your inventory, and the others appear to automatically decode. Now, this could be slightly changed between builds, and this could be, of course, depending on your level of your character. But it seems that in all the press gameplay, all the blues and green engrams, they automatically decode when you walk over them, so no decryption needed. But the exotics and legendaries appear to go into your inventory slot. Now, yesterday there was actually a leak of someone in Poland who somehow got an early copy of Destiny 2, and even more somehow was actually able to get on Destiny 2 and play. I'm not sure why the servers were live, but they were playing for about 5 hours apparently. Bungie did actually ban them, but they did get to play quite a bit of the game and posted some images to the internet. Now, I can't show these images, but I can tell you what was in them. And inside the character inventory screen, you can see 10 engrams. So it's basically slotted out, and it seems to have a maximum of 10. So I'm pretty sure if you get more than that, it might go to your postmaster. but it seems that no longer are they going to go to your normal weapon slots and basically fill up all of your character stuff. It's instead going to go into your inventory slots, and they've got their own space to basically collect. Now, the interesting thing is that it does have a limit of 10. Now, I'm not sure if there's a way to increase this, but it does seem a bit strange to be capped out at 10 engrams. It seems a little bit short, if you ask me. And something else is that you can inspect some engrams. Not sure exactly if it's all of them, but some engrams can be inspected to see what the potential loot you can get out of them. So, some pretty interesting changes to how engrams work. Now, there are also some pretty big changes to how vault space, your vaults, and also kiosks are going to work, and they all seem to be tied into one now. So you won't be seeing a million kiosks dotted all around the farm or social spaces. They'll be inside your vault now, which is nice, so one central location. So one of the leaked images from yesterday did show inside a vault, and it showed 200 items. So that is the official number of how big our vaults are in Destiny 2. Bungie can, of course, change that. And we don't know exactly what constitutes as an item, because your items could go into different spaces. But so far, we know the vault space is set at 200 items. Now, the other tab inside the vault was also your kiosk or collections. And this, of course, is going to be where your stuff is stored. Now, there's even more confirmation that your kiosk is going to be inside the vault, because at Gamescom, they gave out these super rare emblems called Confluence of Light. And at the bottom of the card there, it says, once signed into Destiny 2, your reward will be available from the emblem collection of the vault. So there you go, the emblem collection is inside the vault, just as the leak said. So it's safe to assume that if the emblem kiosk is in there, you can also assume the shaders and emotes and ships and everything else will be there too. Now, the only thing we can't be certain of right now is if we'll still have exotic kiosks. I don't really see why not personally, but also, of course, legendary weapon kiosks, because that would make sense too. We do now have legendary weapons having fixed roles, so it would be possible for them to put them in there, but it could be very complicated as well, so we'll have to see. So next up, let's talk about the Destiny 2 raid, and possibly one of the biggest conspiracy theories that has ever existed for Destiny 2. It's some really, really crazy stuff. Now, this was a theory made by someone called Celery Moon. Now, they're speculating the gold symbol on Luke Smith's hoodie is actually this thing we saw in the concept art a while back. So this planet-consuming thing could be the actual Leviathan. I don't know if it's even a living creature or mechanical ship, but the word Leviathan is defined as both of those things, either a massive sea creature or a massive ship. So this thing looks like it could be literally both of those things. Now, the reason we know they're related to the Cabal is because they can actually be spotted on the big Cabal Empire piece. They're literally everywhere. You can see 2 of them up top, 2 of them below them, 2 of them right above the Emperor's head, and also 2 around his neck. So these things are definitely a part of the Cabal, and the symbol of them is, of course, on the raid trophy, implying they might be a part of the raid. And then, of course, the raid is called Leviathan. Now, the trophy is called Belly of the Beast, so it does kind of imply that you might go into the belly of one of these things. So the new updated concept art of this does show a ship flying towards this little planet, a Guardian ship, so you can tell we might be landing on this little planet, and inside the creature's mouth, there is that red glow. Now, if you look at the same image we saw in a trailer a while back, you can see Guardian standing in what looks exactly to be this scene. You're basically sitting in a bunch of rubble, looking directly into this thing's mouth, which has a red glow. So maybe the scene is actually looking directly through this Leviathan, which does actually seem to strangely match up. And the final thing which does kind of set this in stone is the stars next to this actual beast. They're actually forming a constellation called Cetus, and this translates to sea monster or Leviathan in Greek mythology. So you can't make this stuff up. It is all so crazy how this does seem to make so much sense. Like I said, Celery Moon deserves a lot of props for piecing all this together. Way too many things match up here to just be nothing. So let me know what you think of this theory with the raid. So, of course, the PC beta did go live today. This is some gameplay of my very first match actually on Javelin 4 in the Crucible. And believe it or not, this is actually running on that laptop that Nvidia sent me that I showed in my recent video. So this thing really is a beast. It can run Destiny basically max settings, 1080p, and still get 100 FPS. But while I was playing, I did notice an increase of super energy for sure. I got my first Nova Bomb about 5 minutes into a game. And the matches are, of course, longer as well, so you have more time to do so. I did do quite well in this match, but I think if I did even better, I maybe could have got a second super, which was basically unheard of in the console beta. I also feel like maybe the slow Nova Bomb might have been sped up slightly initially when you throw it. I'm not sure if I'm just seeing things, but it seemed a tiny bit quicker. Let me know if you guys thought the same thing, but for me, it definitely felt a little bit quick when you first throw it, and then it slows down to the normal speeds. But of course, this slow option is still meant for PvE, basically. The bottom option is still there in Destiny 2, the same fast option from Destiny 1. So I also want to give a reminder for that giveaway that the guys over at Band have provided me for you guys. One of you is going to be winning the Destiny 2 PS4 Pro bundle, which is the 1TB console, the copy of Destiny 2, the expansion pass, and all the other bonus content for Destiny 2. But I launched the competition earlier this month, but the giveaway will be ending in a couple of days, so you don't have long. So to enter, you need to be a member of my Band group, which is down below in the description. Go over, like the giveaway post as well by hitting the shout button. And then finally, comment on the post with one thing you're most excited for in Destiny 2. It can be anything. But yeah, my Band is basically a mini community where a bunch of you guys can form into groups, chat about Destiny. It's a really chill place, so definitely worth joining. And once again, that giveaway is going to be ending in just a couple days from now. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, a like rating would be much appreciated. If you want to watch a video about a new Azaris themed exotic, you can click the image on screen right now. And I'll see you guys next one.